Good afternoon. This is Michael coming live again from my studio office here at home in beautiful Sacramento, California. The weather is so nice outside today. It's fortunate that my kids are on spring break. And because of that, I'm actually able to talk to one of my son's teachers. And we're going to talk today about what it's like to be a parent who is also a teacher, who's married to a teacher, who has two kids in school, and the struggles that are really real as a parent during this whole distant, remote, whatever you want to call it, learning. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Casey Valine, who is my oldest son's teacher.
Hello.
Howdy. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. How is your family and everybody's healthy and well?
So far, knock on wood, everyone's doing well. We're just like most people, we're just stuck indoors, and we try to escape and go for a little walk, but we're just surviving like everyone else, take one day at a time. How about your family?
We are doing well, a little stir crazy, but we're all blessed to live. I mean, at least we are blessed to live in this beautiful Sacramento area that has a ton of bike and walking trails in it, and parks nearby. Unfortunately, the kids can't go to the park and play on the equipment, but we can ride our bikes over there and they can ride around the park.
We can look at it, right?
Go run on the grass. But we're actually making a plan to be able to ride our bikes from where we live in the very southwest corner of Sacramento to West Sac to get over to OLG. Using the trail system. So we can go to Discovery Park and then pick up the trail system over by in Broderick and go all the way down. So we're working on that. That's our PE for the duration of,
great plan
of this thing. So we'll see how it goes, step by step, day by day. So
you got to get back though.
That's right. Well, that's why we're going. We're getting to where the kids are starting to feel tired, and then we're going back home. Every day it gets about an extra quarter of a mile. So
that's good.
Pretty good.
You're getting the important stuff there.
You and your wife are both teachers.
Yes, we are. We make the big bucks.
They pay you the high level dollars. To teach children like mine who like to give fits, as you know, about the small little things, like as we were talking about just a couple minutes before we went live, capitalization at the beginning of a sentence and a period at the end, or an exclamation point or a question mark. Sometimes who knew that it'd be
no idea it was that big of a struggle.
A period and a question mark and where it goes. But sometimes it is. And you also have two school-age children.
Yeah, third grader and a TKer. So, we're working majority of the day. When we get up at 8 o'clock, that's when we start our work for the boys, and then I log in with my class at 9 o'clock, and I'm available to them pretty much until, I don't know, sometimes 8 o'clock at night. I still have kids messaging me asking questions about the work and stuff. So it's a full day.
Yeah,
definitely a full day.
Yeah, I've done a few of these now. We've been talking about parenting, and kind of like what we're talking about right now, and getting school done. And honestly, what I see is the teachers doing this like, hey, we're just in school, we're cruising along like ducks on a pond. But you can just tell from the amount of work that we see from you guys that the feet are just pedaling like mad underneath. And as a parent with a student in one of your classes, I just got to tell you, we really appreciate it. You guys have done an amazing job. We're blessed to be able to send our kids to Catholic school. The Catholic schools here in the Diocese of Sacramento have done an amazing job. They haven't missed a beat. The communication has been just enough, not too much. And everything that we hear has had a nice positive spin. And everybody's just done an amazing job, and we're just so blessed. And there's my plug for this video about sending your kids to Catholic school, because the public schools are still like a week or two away, a lot of them, from actually getting gearing to going in many places throughout the Sacramento area.
Well, so I appreciate the appreciation. We're working hard, for your kids.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate that. So one of the things I wanted to kind of talk to you about is there's a bunch of technology that's being used, and some of it, like the parents just don't get, right?
Yeah.
The kids are using like things like Google Classroom and that type of stuff, but the parents just don't get that. I mean, I know a ton of parents who use Gmail, but they have no clue what Google Slides or
What
Google Docs is, or
Yeah.
yeah, any of that type of stuff, right? So maybe you have some, just as a parent and as a teacher who's been using this stuff, has been teaching kids with it. Maybe you have some tips for parents
Oh,
on how to use those things and even track our children at home and make sure they're doing their work.
yeah. Definitely. What I sent out, and I don't really know how many of my parents have read it, but I think of quite a few have. My wife made a lovely slideshow of how to access Google Classroom, because that's our main platform. Is the G Suite platform. And so how to access Google Classroom and see what has been turned in and what's assigned and everything. My dog just, there we go. Okay. So definitely, with the G Suite, it is new, and it definitely is new to the kids. We've been working with certain applications, but we're definitely delving into some uncharted territory. But they like you said, they're really tech savvy, and so they've been able to pick it up pretty well, pretty easy. But with there's a bunch of resources online that parents can also access that will help them figure out, like I said, Google Classroom and stuff, and Google Forms and Google Docs, Google Slides, all that stuff. Same thing with Zoom. We've been using some Zoom in the classroom, having some Zoom meetings, and we're definitely going to have start doing that more often. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
So I guess one of the things that you had sent out to us as parents was a way that we can get a message every day from Google Classroom that talks about like what the assignments were, what was turned in, what wasn't turned in. If I'm a parent and I don't understand how to do that, what's the easiest way for me to access those things? And do I have to reach out to my kids' teachers to get access to see that stuff?
You know what? I would say that my number one piece of advice during this whole time would be communication. Would be constantly communicating with your child's teacher. Using, it could be simple emails as a way of communicating. It could be going ahead with Google Classroom to communicate with the teachers. But having a constant communication between you as a parent and your child's teacher, that is going to help create a smoother transition during this distance learning and help your child be successful during this student distance learning period. I have in the platform. I'm asking my wife because she helped me set this up. I was able to allow the parents to see, correct?
Google Classroom?
Yeah. So in the Google Classroom, I was able to set that up where parents could actually view the work. And so you can ask if your child's teacher is using the Google Classroom platform and you can't see that work, then you can ask them, be requested to be a guardian is what it's called on the platform. And then you'll be able to see what work is assigned and what work is turned in and graded and turned back.
What's one of the biggest struggles that you're seeing students have right now that parents can be helpful with?
Honestly, one of the biggest, I don't know if it's a struggle, I think it's something that they're not taking advantage of, is the office hours that teachers assign. I know I have, like I said, office hours dedicated certain times each day. And I really think that students utilizing those office hours would really benefit them. And if they don't understand how to access those office hours, then also, emailing, the kids know how to use Gmail. And so they themselves can email me, or the parents can email me. to help them out. But really, I think utilizing those office hours is a big plus, something that could really help them be successful during this time.
Sure. And I know when I was in high school, we had a tutorial period where we could actually go in and talk with our teachers, and it's a huge way in college, right? So this generation of kids who are having to deal with being in school during COVID-19 and the office hours, it's just like preparing them for the future even more.
Definitely.
So maybe, and I don't know if you can answer this question or not, because you may not know how it's going to be, and maybe it's just something that's not public yet, but we're leaning so heavily on technology right now for education, right? And kids are going to get so used to, like, I'm sitting down at my Chromebook to do work. How is that going to be addressed when we're allowed to send our kids back to school? And kids are so used to using technology now, right?
I know personally, on a personal level, and I've had this conversation with my wife, there's things that I've learned to use where I will be implementing that into the classroom when we get back into the physical classroom setting. But as a whole, I don't know as a whole how all of education will then go ahead and adapt technology into the classroom setting. But like I said, personally, I know there are some tricks that I've learned. I'm like, oh man, my class can definitely do that, and it would be more beneficial than doing what I've been doing before. So that is a positive to this.
Have you seen more productivity coming out of the students because of using technology?
It's interesting is I've seen some students who have really flourished, during this, where maybe they were average or a little above average, but they've really this distance learning really suits them. And so they've actually really done really well during this time. So everyone, this affects everyone differently, obviously.
For sure. So you have two kids. One's in third grade, one's in TK, as you said. Yeah. So they're at different points of what they're learning in school. And one's going to have a lot more work than the other. And one really probably thrives off of interaction, right? Because that's where they're at school. Like your TK probably is more of interaction, hands-on. How are you and your wife handling that as teachers, dealing with 30 plus students each, and then two other students at home in different grade levels that you don't normally teach?
She wants me to let you know that she teaches 130 kids by herself. Okay. That's what she just said. She has 130. So let's not take that away from her.
Well, that's because your wife is a superhero. I said, that's because your wife is a superhero. Right?
That's right. Yeah, she teaches.
As all wives are. Just throwing that out there. All wives are superheroes.
That's a given. They should all know that. See, this is for them, superheroes. So back to your question, it really has to do with scheduling. My son, he's an early riser. My third grade son, he's an early riser, and for him, school does come relatively easy. So for him, we can kind of sit him down and say, okay, these are some things that we know you're going to struggle with. So it can either be done right away when we have this 20-30 minute period before we have to get into our classrooms, or it needs to be done, let's say at 11:30 when we have our lunch break, and then we can help him during that time. So it's more scheduling for us and looking at where he's at, what's been assigned for him, and knowing, okay, he struggles with this, so we can help him out during this time when we have free, but we know he can do X, Y, and Z on his own, so he's going to do that right now when we are busy with our classrooms. For the younger one, his teachers have been doing an amazing job, and so she's been sending us a lot of like video YouTube links, videos of herself. And a lot of Zoom with him, and so he's been interacting with his fellow classmates in that sense. And then, of course, doing the basic things TKers are doing, writing their names, their numbers, counting to 30, all that kind of good stuff. And so he does have physical handouts, which for him aren't too tough, but it's kind of the same thing, setting that schedule up and looking at what we need to help him with. Also, a benefit of having the big brother is he can also help when he's done his younger brother. Sometimes he may not want to, but he doesn't have the choice. Like, for example, reading. If we have to be in the classroom helping our students, and we can't read that story to our TKer, and we notice that our third grader son is done, he goes, picks up that book, and they go into the room and he reads it to him.
Yeah, I think that's probably really good advice for everybody, right? It's about scheduling and making sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got 3 sons, and you know all 3 of them.
I know all 3.
I have one that's a student of yours. You have one that was on a team that you coached.
Yep.
And you've seen the other one because, well, he can be a little mischievous at times. And 2 of them are really motivated to do stuff in school. One, once he really gets into it and likes it, is motivated to do that. You know who I'm talking about there. But what maybe a tip that you have if you have a student who needs a little extra motivation and now they're kind of at home and doing this whole like distant learning deal? What's a tip that you may have as a teacher that could help motivate those kids?
You know what? There's so many different technological resources, and that's what we're doing, right? Distance learning is mostly technologically based. There's so many different resources out there that even though your student teacher might say, hey, answer this set of questions, A, B, and C, well, you can go and look online and figure out different ways A, B, and C are actually explained in videos. There's all kinds of videos, YouTube, obviously, all kinds of online resources that might engage your child in a different way that will then make them, more committed to doing that work.
All right, so I want to be cognizant of your time because I know it's spring break.
Yeah.
You probably want to hang out with your kids a little bit, not teaching them. But let me ask you a couple of quick questions, and then I'll let you go. First of all, what is the one tip that you can give to parents on how they can support teachers during this time?
Communicating. That's the biggest thing, because when I create my lessons, I always try to think, I don't want to overwhelm the parents right now, because that's the last thing they need is having to deal with, obviously, what's happening in society, and then their work too. A lot of them are working from home. And so then I'm trying to figure out, what is a nice balance that their students aren't overwhelmed, and then those parents have to deal with that. So communication is key, obviously. If something isn't working, let the teacher know. If something works really well, let the teacher know. Would you say, Amanda?
Being patient.
Yeah. She said being patient. Yeah, we're all learning together, and so having some patience is always, it's a virtue of the month. It's always a blessing having patience as well.
So my last question for you is this: if you had 5 more minutes in your classroom with your students, what is one piece of advice that you would give them during this time?
If I had 5 minutes in the classroom?
Yeah, with your students there, with your students in the classroom, 5 minutes, what's one thing that you would say to them or piece of advice that you would give them?
Together, I would just tell them thank you. I would say, you know what, we're gonna work through this together. And I would say, you are all awesome, and you all contribute so much to this class that I wish I had more than 5 minutes to tell you how awesome you were. And then I like to joke around with them, so I'd ask them if they had any jokes.
Okay, so I guess I have one more question for you. You and I have both coached baseball and other sports, and that type of stuff, right? As a coach, right? Yeah. As somebody who loves working with children, or at least seemingly you like working with children. But as somebody who likes working with children, as somebody who takes their personal time to coach, soccer, baseball, other sports, what's one thing you would tell parents who have put their kids in sports. And I mean, the likelihood of baseball season happening is not going to. Summer football leagues, I know they're trying to rearrange schedules, but it's probably not going to happen. What's one thing that you would tell parents to do right now that can help keep their kids developing so that when sports comes around next year, their kids haven't missed a year?
Yeah. Well, obviously we're talking about baseball because that's the baseball season. It's just going out there and playing catch, maybe getting a ball that you can throw inside the house, order it on Amazon, Target, Walmart, whatever, something that you can throw around in the house that's not going to break the pictures or the vases or the glasses or anything. And just, playing catch, throwing the ball on the ground, helping them, just kind of muscle memory type of activities with throwing the ball or how to field. Obviously, hitting needs to be done outside. Well, my kids might disagree with that, but mom says it has to be done outside. Just being out there and doing something physical, really.
Awesome. I think those are all really great things, all things that every parent can take into account. Also, like, it gives parents some insight on what's going on at a teacher's home, because oftentimes we forget that they have families, they have spouses, they have children too that they're dealing with. It's great to hear that you guys have found a routine that works for you. I would expect that growing up, having a mom who was a teacher and an administrator, seeing how she did that. Now it's the buzzword work-life balance. But, it's one of those things. And kids of teachers usually grow up to be pretty good people. I don't know what happened to me, but no, just kidding. I love my parents very, very much. They're great people, and I'm blessed to have had them. They're who I am today. But really, I can't say it enough how much we appreciate everything that you have done for our son, and everything that all the teachers are doing at the school that help our children out and that have helped us out. You guys have made our lives so much easier. Some of the great apps, like we were talking about with Google, I know some of the younger classrooms are using other things where teachers can send videos easily and read books to children. I know that the school still does their weekly book reading on Facebook, which is also really cool. And it's just really, really great. I really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate what you and your wife are doing.
We appreciate that.
Teachers don't get enough recognition. It's usually like once or twice a year, we're like, oh, it's Teacher Appreciation Day. Let's buy them something. Okay. Why can't we say thank you every day? So thank you so much. Thank you to your wife.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on and doing this. I hope that your family stays healthy and well. And I really hope that we get to see you again next year too, that they let us come back to school and that we can go back to that extended family that we have over at our Lady of Grace School in West Sacramento, because it really is that. That's the real big benefit of going to a Catholic school. Not only did we not miss a beat with school, but there's this extended family and support that's there from the teacher's aides all the way up to the principal and then back down again. Everybody's been so supportive and so great. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Maybe we can do one of these again as the summer months come along and we talk about how people can prepare their kids to go into the next grade level next year. So,
and hopefully, we'll have some, whether it's in Arizona, with no fans, but maybe we can talk about some baseball, because, baseball's, I'm missing it, man. I'm missing baseball right now.
Me too. Today would have been Jackie Robinson Day, right? I think we all changed our Facebook profile to number 42 just for Jackie Robinson. How cool would that be? Just look and see 42 all over the place. And I heard that somebody pitched the idea of doing baseball in California and using a bunch of the minor league fields and major league fields, because there's so many of them here in California, and there's only like a handful in Arizona that you could use. There's what, 30 teams, and you have like something like 20 different fields that are either minor league fields or major league fields that can be used that are equipped.
Hey, right here at West Sacramento, was it Sutter Health now?
Sutter Health Park, right?
That's right.
Sutter Health Park.
As long as it's the Giants.
Yeah. Well, and yesterday, right, the River Cats did a whole thing for opening day, which would have been the opening day. You could drive through and buy a hot dog for like $1, and then they did national anthem, and they did a whole myriad of things throughout the game where they were raising money to help people who have lost their job during all this. I mean, it's amazing how sports is keeping up and trying to do stuff. It's also sad to hear things like, the XFL. I don't know if you watched any of those games, but they were kind of fun.
Yeah.
Different than the old XFL. That was a joke. But this was more like, hey, it's like a development league for football. And they had some really cool things that they were doing. And unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be closing their doors.
Yeah.
And they were also being funded by wrestling, WWE.
Yeah, by McMahon.
Yeah, and that's taken a huge hit because apparently they have WrestleMania 942 going on that they had to give a ton of refunds to. So, they're like the what's his name, the guitar player from the Rolling Stones. They just keep going and going and going. They're probably been dead for 50 years, but they're still playing. So, but no, I agree with you completely. Sports in some way would be great. I don't know if we'll ever see basketball back this season or hockey.
I don't know. I don't think hockey either, which is okay because the Sharks were having a rough go this year.
They were tanking it. I did go to the grocery store for my weekly shopping trip yesterday, and I had to buy some more adult beverages. And I did find a bottle of official San Jose Shark hockey vodka that I bought with the Shark logo on it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Not very good, but it's pretty cool. I actually had vodka at home too because one of my clients
using it for sanitizer, huh?
But I was like, this is a cool bottle. I got to keep it. I'm gonna try it. It was not. But yeah, I mean, having sports back in some way will be good. It'll be interesting to see what happens with sports at schools next year too.
Definitely.
I think you can have certain things like cross country, right, which is a team sport, but it's very individualized. They're not very close, and you can spread out. But things like at OLG, like flag football and volleyball, it's going to be hard because while they aren't contact sports, you're very close to your competitors. The coaches get close to the kids because they're talking so the other side can't hear. You're close to the referees. There's fans there watching the games. It'll be really interesting. It's going to
there's a lot of questions that are going to need to be answered.
Yeah.
Before we kind of go back to some kind of normalcy. So
the worst part is nobody can answer them. It changes. Exactly. It's so fluid, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's a great point to end on is that, hey, be patient with people. Like you said earlier, be patient.
Yeah.
You guys are, as teachers, you're taking instruction from the principals who are taking instruction from the school department, the school district department, whatever it is. And they're finding out stuff from health officials and elected officials. And it's there's a trickle down effect that the teachers are just kind of they're the people that are letting you know what's going on, but they're the first and last line of defense in many ways, or offense for that matter. But be patient. They're all doing great. I know the diocese, I said before, the Diocese of Sacramento is doing a great job with this, and friends that we have that go to other Catholic schools keep saying the same thing too. It's just been an amazing job. And again, you guys have done an amazing job. Have fun with your family today and on spring.
Thank you very
much. And thank you for taking the time.
Hey, not a problem. Wish you all well.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.